Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Langer at the Mic, Langer at the Mic live. I hope you've all been having a tremendous summer, as have I. Just been focusing on work in these dog days of late July and August. But now we're in late August, and I am back because the Montreal Canadiens made a pretty significant move today in acquiring on Wednesday or Thursday. What are we? Thursday? I don't know what day it is anymore. Montreal Canadiens, they have acquired Sean Monahan and a conditional first round pick from the Calgary Flames for future considerations. Now, the Calgary Flames, meanwhile, signed Nazem Kadri to a long term contract, and they needed to open up the cap space to do so. And that's why they got rid of Sean, or needed to get rid of a player like Sean Monahan, who carries a $6.3 million cap hit going forward. So the Canadiens took him on and they got a first round pick out of it as well. Future first round pick. I'll be honest, I originally thought it was possibly a 2023 first round pick. But anyway, it's consider a future first round pick in which is very conditional. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, right here. Honestly, I'm just gonna bring the conditions of the first round pick up right over here because it is quite complicated. So basically, the conditions of the first round pick are it's if Calgary's 2024 first round pick is between 20 and 32, Montreal can take that pick instead. The result of that is to be determined. Scenario one is in the event if Calgary receives Florida's 2025 first round pick, and if both Calgary's and Florida's picks are not in the top 10, Montreal will receive the better of Calgary and Florida's 2025 first round picks. Result to be determined. Again, based on the finishing of that. I think that also has to do with the first round pick that Calgary got from the Panthers, or that was sent to Florida in the Tkachuk deal. But anyway, scenario two is if Calgary's pick is top 10 and Florida's pick is not top 10, Montreal receives Florida's pick. So in other words, 2024, that pick would be top 10 protected. Now, scenario in the event that Calgary does not receive Florida's first round pick, sub scenario is that Calgary's pick is not top 10. Montreal will receive Calgary's pick. And number two, if Florida's pick is not top 10, and is a better pick than Calgary's and was transferred to another team due to prior conditions, Montreal will also receive Calgary's 2024 fourth round pick. Result of that is, of course, to be determined until 2024. And then another sub scenario is Calgary's pick is top 10. If Calgary's pick is first overall, Montreal will receive Calgary's 2025 third and the better of Calgary and Florida's 2026 first round pick. Result is to be determined. And if Calgary's pick is second to 10th, Montreal receives Calgary's 2025 first round pick. So very complicated conditions, of course. But either way, it is a first round pick at the very least that the Montreal Canadiens will be getting. And if you're hearing that, by the way, that is my aunt's dog right here, Cooper, who is growling at me and wants to play fetch. So hi, Cooper. Say hi to everyone that's watching. So he might make a couple of other cameos in this live stream, but give a big thumbs up for Cooper, of course. So ultimately, this is a great trade for obviously the Montreal Canadiens in the long term, but also the Calgary Flames, who somehow, with the signing of Nazem Kadri and the acquisition of Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau, are somehow now better after losing both Brady Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau. They're somehow better. So they have to give up a first round pick in the process, but they are clearly keeping the fact that they're in win now mode and just going all in for another year and possibly another year after that. And of course, Huberdeau signed the long-term contract, so that dream of him coming to Montreal is dead, but that might be a good thing because look what happened with the Toronto Maple Leafs and John Tavares. So between that first round pick the Canadiens are going to get from either Calgary, Florida, whatever it's going to be in 2-3 years, again, whatever it turns out to be, and the fact that that they have $20 million, the Canadiens have over $20 million coming off the books between Paul Byron, Evgeny Dadonov, Jonathan Drouin, Sean Monahan now, and Jake Allen. They'll have over $20 million of cap space in 2023 and 5 first round picks in the next 3 years. They have Florida's next year. They have their own pick in 2024. And between 2024 and 2025, they'll get their own pick and Calgary's pick. So this is great for both sides. And now Sean Monahan as a player, because obviously at the end of the day, this is a business, but also these are athletes, these are players, these are humans that we're talking about. Sean Monahan obviously had season-ending hip surgery, which basically kept him out for the rest of last season. And before that, dealt with also lower body injuries and a whole host of injuries that tremendously limited what he used to be or diminished him as a player compared to what he used to be, where he had 7 straight 20-plus goal seasons. As you can see right here, I'll pull it up his stats. So just multiple 20-goal seasons. He had as high as a 34-goal season, and he was a point-per-game player in 2018, 2019. But then, as you could see, since the 2019-2020 season, 48 points, only 48 points in 70 games, a minus 16, then 28 points in 50 games in 2021 or 2020, 2021. And then last year, pretty much at that point as a fourth liner, 23 points in 65 games, a minus 15. And of course, the season ending hip surgery. So clearly Monahan, not what he once was, but he's another body for the Montreal Canadiens at center next year. He's another body for the Montreal Canadiens at center next year between, of course, Suzuki, Dvorak, Kirby Dach, Jake Evans. Rem Pitlick could play at center as well. If he's healthy, and I think Brad Treliving said that he is expected to be ready by the start of this upcoming season, he could be a decent player for the Montreal Canadiens in the bottom 6. So and he could also be a mentor for guys like Kirby Dach and Suzuki and all the young players that the Canadiens have, because Sean Monahan at this point, he was a first-round pick many moons ago, but he's still 27 years old. So he's pretty much, he's 6th overall pick in 2013. So he still has a lot of years under him and a lot of experience to offer the Montreal Canadiens young players in at least this year while he's with them. But just, I don't know if he probably won't be able to step into a top 6 role. He could have been a top 6 player a couple of years ago, clearly, but I don't think he's that anymore. And will he stay healthy and will he stay effective? I don't think so, but still, if they could get as much as they can, the Canadiens can, out of Sean Monahan for this upcoming season. And maybe if he plays well, maybe they could keep him for cheap in the future. So now what? That leaves me to this big question right here, right now with the Canadiens is now what? Because clearly the Canadiens, with this trade taking on another big cap hit, they have no cap space. They have negative $6.1 million in cap space right now for this upcoming season, which is not good, obviously. But I think it was Ken Hughes spoke today and mentioned that Carey Price is pretty much guaranteed to go on LTIR this year and is not going to play at all for this upcoming season. So that is obviously really unfortunate. His contract is insured, by the way. It honestly might be the best for everyone involved for Carey Price to not play this year, just for him to focus on his health, both mentally and physically, focus on his family, focus on recovering, maybe prepare for retirement if that's necessary. And the Canadiens, honestly, could live without his $10.5 million cap hit. They could obviously use him in the dressing room. They could obviously use prime Carey Price in net to be their savior, but that's not exactly what they need right now. They just need to focus on player development, which seems to be what they're focusing on. And that is exactly where they need to be right now. Just focus on player development, whether it results in wins or losses, doesn't matter, as long as it results in just players taking those next steps. They're young players taking the next steps in their development. That's what needs to be the focus right now. And I think it is. The other dilemma though, right now, and I've talked a lot about this in previous videos, is the Canadiens now added another forward. What you chewing on there, buddy? Hey, what you eating? Hey, no biting the carpet. Please. Just Cooper ate up his chew toy, and I think he's like trying to compensate by biting the carpet. But anyway, here, go ahead, buddy. All right. Sorry. So the Canadiens, as I was saying, they have 16 forwards now presumably on NHL contracts, or that will fight for NHL roster spots next year to fill 12 forward spots. So what are they going to do? Is Dvorak going to get moved? Is Anderson finally going to get moved? And of course, they only have one right-handed. They only have one capable veteran right-handed defenseman of playing top mid. Well, sorry, I should say they have three right-handed defensemen, two of which are bottom pair defensemen, and one of which is going to be playing in his second year at the team, pretty much his second full season in the NHL in Justin Barron. So they still need a right-handed defenseman somewhere somehow. And yes, they're going to try to play left-handed shoot guys like Harris and Matheson and whatnot on the right side, but I don't love that idea. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather them develop or have the opportunity to develop in a left-handed role. I'll get to your comment in a second there, Noah. But yeah, it's just, what are the Canadiens going to do at forward? Could some of those contracts end up in the minors? Who knows? So to me, it's got to be, Hoffman, Armia, Byron, Drouin. Like, one of these guys have to get moved eventually, because just numbers game for the roster. It's just, you can't have 16 forwards on the roster, on the NHL roster. Maybe Slavkovsky's going to go to the AHL. I don't think that's part of the plan, but some things has to give here at forward. And yes, Cooper, here, I'm going to send you off again. Go play fetch. So yeah, Noah, a couple of comments. From Noah. And if you have obviously a comment on the Sean Monahan trade and the direction that the Canadiens are going in, and how the Canadiens have done this offseason, because we're in August right now. The offseason is pretty much more than halfway done. Leave a comment in the comment section. I will get back to it and again refer to it in a later stream this off season. But Noah says, now you figure out the goalie situation without Carey Price. Allen is best served as a backup, and Primo and Montembeault have a long way to go before they prove they're ready. I think Jake Allen will be the starter, whether we like it or not. Just he's number one on the depth chart right now. And I think Primo will just have to take some more time. Primo needs a contract, first of all, as does Kirby Dach. And that's another thing. The Canadiens, if Price goes on LTIR, they will have enough space to sign Primo and Kirby Dach, because they'll have about $4 million of cap space. Yeah, about that, $4 million of cap space. So I think the Canadiens are just have to live with Jake Allen as the number one goalie going forward. Plain and simple, or at least for this year. Jake Allen's going to have to be the guy for this year, and we'll have to be okay with that. And at this point, I think I've accepted that, and I'm okay with that, because it's about player development. It's about just guys taking the next step as players, as young NHL players vying for key roles on this roster long-term. That's what it's about right now, more so than actually winning games. And I'm fine with that. And there's one more thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, real quick. So I have been watching the World Juniors. I have been paying attention. I've actually been doing some scouting on Connor Bedard and Joshua Roy, a little bit of Riley Kidney, and a little bit of action that he got as well. A little bit of Jan Mysak as well. I've been paying more attention to Joshua Roy and Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard is an absolute stud, of course. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is just when he has the puck, he's just so dynamic. Like, I don't know if he's Connor McDavid level, but as a 17-year-old, he's just, that when he's on the ice, like, the play goes through him. Like, everything that he controls the play. He dictates what's happening whenever he's on the ice. And it's all about, like, I think his playmaking is a little bit inconsistent. Not so much about his vision, but I think I find sometimes his passing is he turns the puck over a little bit too much, just because he tries to make a quick decision and ends up being the wrong one, or because just lack of size, plain and simple. But other than that, just Bedard is just his shot, like, every time he's trying to get that puck to the net, and he does so with a great lethal quick release. So that's really cool about him. And Joshua Roy, I don't know, I'll be honest, I haven't really watched him at Sherbrooke much with the Phoenix, but I will say with Joshua Roy, the puck is on and off his stick in a split second, and 99% of the time that puck is going somewhere productive, either to an open player or right on net right away. So that, to me, is a translatable attribute for Joshua Roy in terms of him taking the next step to the NHL. I just think that it just needs to translate to the NHL. That's all that has to happen, I think, for Joshua Roy. I loved also when he was on that 2-on-0 with that Anaheim guy, Mason McTavish, blanked on his name for a sec. It was on the 2-on-0, and McTavish had 2 goals, and Joshua Roy was just like, go ahead, dude, get the hat trick, shoot for the hat trick, and McTavish did get the hat trick. So I think that was a really cool moment as well. Shows that Joshua Roy is capable of being a great teammate. But yeah, Really like what I've seen from obviously Bedard is living up to the hype in the World Juniors, and Connor Bedard. Joshua Roy is also, I think, he might not be at that point per game level in the NHL per se, but I think he'll be a more than capable middle six forward in the very near future. But that's all I have here. Again, if you, as usual, enjoyed my commentary, give a big thumbs up. Tell your friends and family about Langer the Mike. Clearly, I am still a little bit in summer off-season vacation mode. Yeah, and also give a big thumbs up for Cooper, who is still trying to play fetch with me right here. But yeah, as usual, big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends and family. Leave a comment on what you think about the Monahan trade. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again next time, and have a great rest of the summer. Go Habs, go.